So, what we're going to break down today is a really powerful set of survival skills for introverts, and it's all inspired by the insights of an author named Jane. Now, look, this is not about trying to change who you are, not at all. Think of this as getting your hands on a tactical handbook for navigating the world, but on your terms.
You know that feeling, right? Where you walk into a room and you can literally feel your energy just plummet. That social battery that was totally full this morning, suddenly it's flashing red, and the first conversation hasn't even started. Yeah, it's a feeling a lot of us know way too well.
But what if you had a playbook? Not just any playbook, but one designed specifically for your operating system. A set of strategies to help you not just get by, but actually thrive in a world that, let's be honest, often feels like it was designed by and for extroverts. Well, that's exactly what we're about to get into. First up, let's dive into the 9 to 5 jungle, the workplace. This is probably where an introvert's energy gets tested the most, so having the right tactics in your back pocket is absolutely crucial. So let's start with this really cool concept called corporate Aikido. It's not about fighting the system head on. That's just exhausting. It's about using the organization's own energy and momentum to your advantage. This means you gotta understand the power structures and the alliances that aren't on any official chart. It's realizing that who you know can be just as important as what you know and using that to your advantage.
Okay, so how do you actually use this? Well, let's take a classic workplace nightmare, the micromanager. Instead of pushing back and getting into a fight, you use Aikido. First, you give them the illusion of control. Then, you start preemptively sharing details you know they're going to ask for anyway. You can even, and this is a pro move, just flood them with information so they feel totally in the loop. And finally, you offer them forced choices, where either option is one you're happy with. See, you get what you need, they feel like they're in charge, and you save yourself a ton of energy.
All right, now for another corporate minefield, the mandatory social event. Ugh, the happy hour, the team lunch. For a lot of introverts, these can feel way more like a punishment than a perk. This quote right here, it's a total game changer. It's about a huge mindset shift. The second you stop seeing these events as optional fun and start seeing them as a strategic part of your job, everything changes. Because if you skip out, you might be seen as not being managerial material. So you have to play the game. It's a strategic investment in your career, not just an hour of painful small talk. So how do you survive it? Well, you don't have to go to every single one. Be strategic. Always remember your goal. You're there to build relationships, not to get wasted and say something you'll regret. And always, always have a pre-planned exit strategy ready to go. Most importantly, remember that savvy managers use these events to find out what's really going on. So it's a data gathering mission for you too. And this all leads to this idea of social pretending. Now, hang on, this isn't about being fake. It's about consciously and strategically putting on your work face for a limited time. It's a tool. You use it to achieve your goals, and because you know it's temporary, it becomes way less draining. Okay, so we've talked a lot about dealing with the external world. Now, let's turn inward and look at some mental hacks you can use to protect your most valuable resource, your energy. I mean, really think about it. For so many introverts, that unspoken social rule of constant, direct eye contact, it isn't just a little awkward. It can be genuinely physically exhausting. It's like a slow, constant drain on your battery that you can't seem to stop. Well, here is an unbelievably simple but powerful technique. It's called the third eye gaze. Instead of forcing yourself to stare directly into someone's eyes, you just focus on the space right between their eyebrows. The crazy part? To them, it feels exactly like you're making direct eye contact. But for you, it completely removes that intense, draining feeling. It's a brilliant way to follow the social rule without paying the energy tax.
And you can even scale this idea up for public speaking. You want to avoid that frantic, disorienting zigzag thing where your eyes are just darting all over the room. Instead, try a waveform approach. You focus on one person for a couple of seconds, then you calmly move to another person in a different section of the room. It makes you look way more composed and confident, and trust me, it's a lot less mentally taxing.
All right, let's shift gears. We've covered the professional world. Now let's talk about the personal. How do we find that social fulfillment and deep connection on our own terms? Without trying to squeeze ourselves into an extroverted mold.
It really all comes down to understanding your own energy meter. 30 minutes of painful small talk about, I don't know, hair gel or something can be way more draining than 2 solid hours of a deep conversation about something you actually find fascinating, like human motivation. So it's not about the amount of time you spend socializing, it's all about the quality of that interaction.
This slide just nails the essence of true friendship. There's this great story where the author was at a party, her social battery was just completely dead, so she went and took a nap on her friend's sofa. And her friends, they didn't judge her, they just got it. That is a true connection. It's not about performing for people, it's about being accepted for exactly who you are. And that brings us to a really big question, one that challenges a social script we've all been taught. Are you out there searching for that one perfect best friend because you truly want it? Or is it because society kind of tells you that you're supposed to have one? What if there's a better way? Here's the thing. Fulfillment doesn't have to come from a single person. It comes from building a whole collection of meaningful relationships. It's about finding your people, plural, who get you, who respect your nature and your energy limits. Honestly, that's a much more achievable and way less stressful goal to have. So after all of these tactics and all of these reframes, the single most important thing to take away is this. Your introversion is not a flaw. It is not a bug that needs to be fixed. It is your fundamental operating system. You haven't been broken all this time, you've just been trying to run software that was designed for a completely different system. This right here, this is your user manual. So the question is now yours. Will it be the third eye gaze? Or a little corporate Aikido at the office? Maybe you'll reframe that next happy hour. The tools are officially in your toolkit now. Which tactic are you going to deploy first?